Okay, this is going to be a little video. I had want to answer 3 questions that I got, and we'll go from there. The first one, which is the most important one, is I'm not selling any of these guns. All right, any of the guns that I do video reviews of, my 30 calibers or the BFG 9000 or any of that, I'm not selling any of those. Now, I bought this ump as a boneyard, and I bought a stock one as well, and I sold the stock one. And I've done that before. I bought a boneyard and a stock one to have two of the same gun, and I ended up selling the stock one, and that's what's happened here. I kept the boneyard one and upgraded it, and I've sold the stock one. So I'm not selling any of my guns. You can ask, but I'm not selling them. All right. Number 2, I don't upgrade guns for people. I understand people are asking me and they want to know if I'll do it for them, and I only do it for a handful of people that I know. I can count on one hand the number of people that I do it for, and they're mainly my squad mates on my team or people that I know personally as friends, and very few others I do for, and mainly it's small things, barrel upgrades, hop-up upgrades, things like that. I am working on a particular an ump right now that got trashed. The gearbox got trashed, and we're actually replacing the gearbox, which is not a bad upgrade for the particular gun. So that's that answer. I know people are asking me, and I understand that I probably could help them out, but twofold, I have a lot of apprehension because, one, I'm not working full-time right now, and if I break something and I'm paying for parts, I don't have the money to do it. And usually, like, if I'm going to charge for my time, people don't want to pay for my time to do it if I charge correctly, and I don't want to be doing that. So that's the long short answer on that. Question number 3 I got was, people have seen this and they asked me what I upgraded in this, and I'll go over that. It's simplistic, but I'll preface that by saying I have a lot of stockpiled parts. When I buy a piston or a piston head or bucking, usually I buy 2 or 3 of the same part. When I was getting a piston, I buy one for a gun I need, and I'll buy a second one. And same thing with a piston head and a bucking. I have like a pile of buckings and a bunch of pistons and a bunch of piston heads and cylinders and cylinder heads and things like that. So a lot of the parts that I buy are specific, such as a barrel or a spring. Everything else I have stockpiles of. So I'll go over some of the stuff in this gun. This is a 50 round ump mag, and just ignore the pistol I have hooked on the front here. This is a joke that I'm going to show a person today. What I've done, and the most easy upgrade that anybody can do, is a barrel and a bucking upgrade. When you get the guns, stock guns, I would always replace the bucking because you don't know how long it's been sitting. It could be dried out, whatever. So the first thing that I did, let me take this barrel cover off here, is I took the orange tip off. And before some people start saying, oh, you took the orange tip off, well, I put an orange tip back on. And if you want to see what the original orange tip looks like, here is a stock gun that I'm working on. That's the orange tip. Okay, that's what I cut off. And I put this longer flash hider, birdcage type flash hider on there. And I just cut that off, took it off. Now, the reason for that birdcage flash hider is that it has a set screw, because this barrel, outer barrel, is not threaded. And I went with a new bucking. I'm not quite sure what the brand was. I forget. Maybe it was a Maple Leaf, I think. I can't remember. And I went from a 230 barrel, a 229 MP5 length barrel, to a 247. And if you notice, the barrel is right there. I don't know if you can see that on video, but the barrel is right there, and it's a 603 tight bore. That was the first upgrade I did. And the gun went from like 280s with 2.5s up to just barely 300. So that was a really good upgrade just for that and the range. All right, the next thing that I did was internally I wanted to get a little bit more snap out of the gun, so I took out the battery cage. It's like a little L-shaped thing inside there. It's 4 screws. Took it out, and then I can get a bigger battery in here, and I'll show you what I got in here. I got an 11-1 LiPo, and as you can see, fits in there like a dream. Goes way in there. So with the barrel mod, it was able to get in there no problem. And the wires, they tuck in there really nice. Oh, I just said they're really nice, but gotta get them in the right position. And gotta tuck this in first, or this in first, and there, and then it goes. So that was the next upgrade. That was a physical modification to the frame itself. So I'm getting better trigger response, tight bore barrel, getting better groupings, but it's still just like barely 300 FPS. So that's with the new bucking as well. So I took the gearbox out and I took it apart. And the original problem with this is the selector switch, which is still an issue. It switches to semi, shoots fine, but when you go to full, it's still semi. And it's the selector plate itself. It's torqued. I didn't mess with it. It's this combination of the selector switch and the plate. They sort of miss each other, and it stays on semi. And this is an arena gun, and we shoot semi only in there, so I'm not really worrying about that. So I took the gearbox apart, and the first thing I noticed, it had plastic bushings, and it had an all-in-one spring with the piston attached to this piston and then piston head, and it really didn't have a good air seal. So I happen to have bushings, 6mm, put them in, and I reshimmed the gears to make sure they're tight. Then the next thing I did, I replaced the piston and the piston head, and I had an M100 spring that I had before, threw it back in there, and instead of replacing the piston head, which I was gonna, but I said nah, I put Teflon tape on it, put it back in there, put it back together. Thing is shooting 305, 306, 305 all the time consistently. And I said, well, okay, we're done. Perfect upgrade. I was noticing that every once in a while I would get a misfeed on my high caps. For some reason this mid cap 50 round would feed all the BBs, but every once in a while the high caps would misfeed, and then this started misfeeding. So I was over a friend's house and we threw in an M115 spring, and it wasn't feeding. I'd have to hold the mag and it would feed one BB, miss, and feed another BB, miss. And you know, it was getting kind of late, so we called it good. I got home, ripped it apart the next day, and the tappet plate, end of the tappet plate had broke off a little bit by the one gear. It had a very big sector clip on it to pull it back, so I knew it was feeding well. So what I did is I had one from an old like AK gearbox that I had taken out, was a lot thicker and a little beefier, and I put it back in there. And after the spring upgrade, when it would shoot and we got a chrono, it was shooting 340, pretty solid 340s. So I took everything apart again, put the new tappet plate in, made sure everything was up and nice and lubed good with the silicone oil and grease that I had. And I reapplied the Teflon tape because we had been taking it apart a couple times and it was wore out. So I cleaned it up, put new Teflon tape on it, put it back together, and I'm getting constant like 344, 345, 344, 345 now. So this is completely done. Except for maybe I will get a new selector plate for it. That's the only other thing I might pick up when I get a chance. But as an arena gun, shooting 345 with 2.5s, that's excellent. Plus it has the range. The 11.1 gives it the snap. And I really can't see any problems with it, you know, function-wise. And I'm actually going to let someone use this today. The person that I'm working on this other ump here. All right. That's the one I'm putting a new gearbox in. I'm going to let her use this today. Not minus the pistol, of course. Let her use this today, and she'll have a good time with it. So that's what I've done on this. The only two other upgrades, like I said, I'm going to do is the selector plate on the outside, and I might get a high torque motor. But I don't have the money for that right now, so where it's at is where it's at. It's fine. Eventually I will get a high torque motor for it and the selector plate, and this will be 100% done. I still use this outdoor and shoot semi with my mid caps or low caps. I don't know what you consider a 50 round. That's all that's available for this. It's a 50 or a high cap, 300 round high cap. So I use those for outside semi only. It has the range, it has the velocity for outdoor or indoor, so it's perfect for what I need it for. And that's what I have in the gun. If people are asking me, now you know what's in the gun. Part numbers and links and stuff like that I don't have, because like I said, I had these parts a long time and they were brand new parts, and I didn't mark down what kind of parts I was putting in. I just put in stuff that I had, was close. So that's just what I put in. You can buy your own brands and stuff like that and put it in there. But this is a DE M89 UMP. They sell from anywhere from $125 to $145. I've seen them. It's a good buy. It's a solid gun. It's not as beefy as the Elite Force H&K ones or the G&G ones that I see are still out there. But it works with G&G parts as far as mags, and I'm being told the selector plate and things like that. So it's a good buy if somebody wants to snag it. You can do pretty good upgrades on it. 2 pins comes apart. It's a G36 style. Parts that you can get for it: trigger assembly, shuttle, trigger shuttle, and most of the parts, even the selector plate or selector switch, is a G36. So any of that stuff you can get is a G36 compatible. So if you want to start doing some upgrades on umps, that's what you do. I hope this video was informing everyone on all the questions they've been asking me. And that's it. You guys all have a good day, and thanks for watching. What the fuck was that?